Welcome. Take a breath. Settle where you are. If you're listening right now, there's a good chance you've been holding more than you show. You get through the day. You do what needs to be done. But somewhere between the last conversation and the quiet drive home, something feels off. Not broken, just drained. You tell yourself it's the pressure, the job, the economy, other people's moods. But late at night, when the noise fades, a quieter truth starts to surface. Nothing actually took your power from you. You handed it over, bit by bit, to opinions you can't control, to outcomes you can't guarantee, to moments you reacted to instead of choosing. Most men never notice when that transfer happens. They just feel smaller inside their own lives. This isn't about positive thinking. It's not about forcing calm or pretending everything's fine. It's about remembering where your authority actually lives and how easily it slips away when you're not paying attention. In a moment, we'll talk about a different way of standing in the world, quiet, grounded, unshakable. It starts with a single pause. It starts with that pause, the one you don't plan, the one that happens after the noise drops and before you distract yourself again. In that space, something becomes clear. The world didn't suddenly turn against you today. It didn't wake up with a plan to wear you down. What actually did the damage were the small, fast reactions you barely noticed. A tone in someone's voice, a look that felt dismissive, an email that landed heavier than it should have. Your jaw tightened, your chest closed. And before the moment even passed, you were already replaying it in your head. That's how most days drain us, not through catastrophe, through accumulation. You tell yourself it's just part of life. That stress is normal. That pressure means you're doing something right. But if you pay attention, you'll see a pattern. The event happens. Then comes the story. You tell yourself about it. And that story is what stays. A man cuts you off in traffic. Your body reacts like you've been attacked. A supervisor questions your work. Your confidence collapses for the rest of the afternoon. Nothing truly harmful occurred, but your inner world took the hit. The Stoics noticed this long before modern psychology put words to it. They observed that between what happens and how we suffer, there is a gap. Most people never see it. They live inside the reaction and assume it's reality. But it isn't. What hurts you isn't the comment, the delay, or the setback. What hurts you is the meaning you assign in the first few seconds after it lands. That meaning decides whether the moment passes or follows you home. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, not as a teacher, but as a reminder. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. That sentence isn't meant to sound wise. It's meant to wake you up. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it. You start noticing how often your energy leaks out through reflex, how quickly you give your mood to someone else's behavior, how easily your sense of worth gets negotiated in conversations that don't deserve it. This doesn't mean you're weak. It means you're human. Your nervous system learned to react fast long before it learned to choose well. Stoicism doesn't ask you to suppress that reaction. It asks you to interrupt it, not with force, with awareness. The moment you notice your body tightening, that's the opening. That's the space where your authority still exists. Most people rush past it. They justify, they defend, they escalate. A Stoic does something quieter. He notices the surge. He doesn't obey it immediately. He lets the moment breathe. This is where the world stops hurting you, because you're no longer letting it decide who you are in the next 5 minutes. When you understand, this pressure changes shape. Criticism loses its sting. Setbacks stop feeling personal. Not because life got easier, but because your reaction stopped making everything heavier than it needed to be. And once you see how much power lives in that pause, you start to realize something important. You were never under attack. You were just responding on autopilot, and autopilot can be turned off. And once autopilot can be turned off, something else becomes possible. Not control, not dominance, just a pause. It happens in ordinary moments. You're standing in line. Your phone buzzes. A message lands sharper than expected. Your first instinct is to fire back, to explain yourself, to correct the record. You feel it before you think it. Heat in the face. Shoulders lift. Breath gets shallow. That's the moment most people miss. They're already moving, but every now and then, someone doesn't. He reads the message again, slower this time. He doesn't type. He sets the phone down, just for a second. Nothing dramatic happens. The world doesn't stop. But inside, something shifts. That pause is small, barely noticeable, and yet it's where everything changes. The Stoics understood this without neuroscience or modern language. They noticed that the first impulse is rarely wise. Not because people are bad, but because impulses are fast, and wisdom is not. Epictetus put it simply: when something happens, the first thing to do is not say to yourself that it is terrible. He wasn't asking for denial. He was pointing to sequence. Event first, reaction second, judgment last. Most of us reverse that order. We judge instantly, react immediately, and then live with the consequences. The pause puts things back where they belong. It's the space between stimulus and response. The breath you take before words form. The moment your hands stay still, instead of tightening into fists. In that space, you're still free. Not free from emotion, free from obedience to it. A man I once spoke to described it without philosophy. He said I stopped answering right away, and my life got quieter. Quieter doesn't mean easier, it means cleaner. Arguments don't escalate as often. Regret shows up less. Sleep comes a little faster. This isn't passivity, it's restraint. The kind of restraint that used to be taught early. In homes where respect mattered, in communities where your word followed you. The pause protects your future self, the one who has to live with what you say and do after the moment passes. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this constantly. He wrote that you always have the option of having no opinion. That doesn't mean you don't care. It means you don't rush. You don't need to win every exchange. You don't need to prove your intelligence. You don't need to correct every misunderstanding. You need to remain intact. The pause is how you do that. It's how a situation stops owning you. How someone else's bad day doesn't become your bad night. How pressure stops turning into identity. And the more you practice it, the more natural it becomes. Not automatic, intentional. You begin to feel the difference between urgency and importance, between reaction and response, between noise and signal. That pause doesn't make you smaller. It makes you harder to shake. Because when you don't move immediately, you get to choose how you move at all. And that choice is where your strength has been waiting. And once you learn to pause, another question naturally follows. If you're not meant to control everything, then what can you control? Not the market, not the weather, not how people speak when they're tired, scared, or careless. You already know that. You've known it for years. Yet most days, you still wake up bracing yourself against things that were never yours to manage. A meeting that might go sideways. A conversation you rehearse in your head. An outcome you try to steer with tension instead of clarity. That tension has a cost. It shows up in the shoulders before breakfast, in the jaw while you're nodding along, in the quiet impatience you bring home without meaning to. The Stoics didn't promise relief from uncertainty. They promised orientation. Epictetus drew a line that still holds today. Some things are up to you. Some things are not. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But sit with it for a moment, and you'll notice how rarely you actually live that way. Your effort is yours. Your judgment is yours. Your response belongs to you until you give it away. Everything else operates on its own timetable. When that line is blurry, life feels personal in all the wrong ways. Every delay feels like disrespect. Every disagreement feels like a threat. Every setback feels like a verdict on who you are. Clarity changes that. A man once told me about a performance review that didn't go the way he expected. He drove home in silence, hands steady on the wheel. No radio, no phone. He said the old version of him would have replayed every sentence trying to fix it after the fact. This time, he asked a different question. What part of this is actually mine? Not the tone, not the timing, not the decision, just his preparation, his professionalism. What he'd do tomorrow morning. That question didn't make him feel better right away. It made him feel grounded. Stoicism doesn't aim for comfort. It aims for stability. When you know what's yours, you stop negotiating your inner life with circumstances that don't care. You stop handing your mood to strangers. You stop waiting for permission to feel steady. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself of this daily. He wrote that you have power over your mind, not outside events. That's not a motivational slogan. It's a warning. Spend your strength where it works. This doesn't mean you become detached from results. It means you stop tying your worth to them. You still show up early. You still prepare. You still speak plainly and act with intention. But you don't let outcomes rewrite your identity. That's the difference between control and influence. Control exhausts you. Influence begins with self-command. When you stay inside that boundary, something subtle happens. Your decisions get cleaner. Your voice steadies. You don't rush to defend yourself as often. People feel it, not because you're louder, because you're no longer scattered. What you truly control isn't the world's response. It's the posture you take when the response arrives. And once you stop trying to manage everything else, you finally have the energy to manage that well. That's where real authority starts. And once you understand what's truly yours to control, the question becomes practical. What do you do in the moment when everything inside you wants to react? Because knowing isn't enough. Pressure doesn't ask what you've studied. It shows up unannounced, in traffic, in meetings, in conversations that turn sharp without warning. This is where discipline stops being abstract. The body always moves first. Heart rate jumps. Breath shortens. hands tense without permission. That surge feels urgent, like something must be done immediately. But urgency is often a lie. There's a narrow window right after the surge begins. About a minute, maybe a little more. That window is where the 90-second discipline lives. You notice the reaction starting, not after you've sent the message, not after you've raised your voice. At the very beginning, the jaw tightens, the chest compresses, the thought forms, I need to respond. Instead, you don't. You stay where you are, feet on the floor, eyes steady. You let the wave pass through without chasing it. This isn't willpower, it's timing. Modern science explains what the Stoics learned through observation. When emotion spikes, the body floods with chemicals designed for survival. They burn hot, they burn fast, and they don't last. If you don't fuel them with stories and justifications, they settle. The Stoics didn't count seconds, but they practiced the same restraint. Seneca warned that anger once released cannot be called back, not because it's evil, because it's clumsy. It breaks things that didn't need breaking. The 90-second discipline is how you keep your hands clean. You don't argue with the emotion. You don't analyze it. You don't judge yourself for feeling it. You wait. You breathe slowly through the nose. You drop the shoulders. You give the body a chance to catch up with the mind. A man I worked with described using this during a heated call. He muted his phone, sat back in his chair, counted his breaths. When he unmuted, his voice sounded like someone else's, calmer, more deliberate. The conversation didn't magically improve, but he walked away without regret. That's the real benefit. The discipline isn't about winning the moment. It's about not losing yourself in it. This practice changes the shape of your days. You say fewer things you have to explain later. You make fewer apologies that feel hollow. You carry less tension home. It also builds trust with others and with yourself. Because each time you pause and choose restraint, you reinforce a quiet truth. You are not your impulses. You don't have to obey every signal your body sends. That realization restores dignity. Over time, the pause becomes familiar. Not easier, familiar. You start recognizing the early signs, the tone shift, the internal rush, the moment where a small choice will echo longer than you think. And instead of reacting, you give yourself 90 seconds. No performance, no explanation, just enough space for wisdom to arrive before damage does. This is how inner authority becomes practical. Not through control, through restraint applied at the right moment. And the more you practice it, the less often life needs to teach you the same lesson twice. And once restraint becomes familiar, life presents a deeper test. Not how you react in a moment, but how you stand inside the role you didn't choose. It usually arrives quietly, a responsibility that wasn't part of the plan, a season that doesn't match the effort you put in, a version of life that feels smaller, heavier, or slower than expected. You wake up and realize this isn't the chapter you imagined, not the job, not the timing, not the terrain. The instinct is to resist it, to wait it out, to tell yourself this is temporary and life will begin later. But later has a way of never arriving. The Stoics had a different response. They didn't ask whether the role was fair. They asked whether it was theirs. Marcus Aurelius wrote about accepting the things fate binds you to and loving the people fate brings into your life. That word, love, often gets misunderstood. It doesn't mean approval. It doesn't mean pretending this is what you wanted. It means engagement. It means stepping fully into the position you've been given, instead of standing halfway out, arms crossed, waiting for conditions to improve. A man I once knew didn't talk about philosophy. He talked about work. He said, "I stopped wishing my days were different. I started doing them well." He showed up earlier, paid closer attention, took responsibility for things no one asked him to take, not because it felt good, because it felt right. That shift changed him before it changed his circumstances. This is what amor fati looks like in real life. Not romantic, not mystical, practical. You don't love the inconvenience. You love the chance to practice character under pressure. You don't love the setback. You love the discipline it demands from you. You stop asking, "Why is this happening to me?" And you start asking, "Who does this require me to be?" That question carries weight, because once you answer it, there's no more waiting, no more postponing dignity until life improves. You become deliberate in how you speak, in how you work, in how you carry yourself when no one is applauding. The Stoics believed the universe was ordered, not kind. Meaning didn't come from comfort. It came from alignment, from playing your role cleanly. When you resist the role, everything feels heavier. When you accept it, the same load becomes manageable. Not because it got lighter, because you stopped fighting it. This doesn't mean you stop aiming higher. It means you stop treating your current position as an insult. You still plan. You still prepare. You still work toward change. But you don't disrespect the present by withholding effort. That's where many people leak strength. They perform poorly today while waiting for tomorrow to justify them. Amor fati closes that gap. It says, "This is where I stand. This is what's in my hands. I will do this part well." And something unexpected happens when you live that way. Confidence grows without noise. Resentment fades. You stop measuring your worth against timelines you can't control. You gain solidity, not the kind that brags, the kind that endures. Loving the role you were given doesn't mean settling. It means showing up fully until the role changes. And when it does, you'll leave it stronger than you found it, including yourself. And when you stop fighting the role, a pattern begins to show itself. The problems don't disappear. They line up, not to overwhelm you, to train you. Conflicts arrive with different faces. A disagreement that tightens the room. A delay that costs you time you don't have. A comment that questions your competence when you're already tired. Most people see these moments as interruptions, as obstacles in the way of the real work. They want them gone so life can finally move forward. The Stoics saw it differently. They treated each conflict like a sparring partner, not personal, not malicious, just part of the practice. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself that the impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. That idea only sounds abstract until you test it. Think about the last conflict you faced. Not the dramatic one, the small one you brushed off, but carried with you anyway. The irritation that lingered longer than it should have. The tension you replayed in your head on the drive home. That moment wasn't wasted time. It was a drill. Every conflict asks the same quiet question. Will you react the way you always have? Or will you respond the way you're trying to become? That's the training. A coach doesn't cancel practice because the weather is bad. He adjusts the drills. The conditions don't stop development. They shape it. Life works the same way. The argument with your partner tests patience. The meeting tests restraint. The setback tests whether your identity depends on momentum. None of these moments are random. They arrive at the edge of your current capacity, just difficult enough to stretch it. When you resist them, they feel unfair. When you meet them, they feel purposeful. This is where Stoicism separates from comfort-based thinking. It doesn't promise ease. It promises usefulness. Every challenge becomes material. Every frustration becomes feedback. You start to notice how predictable the lessons are, how often the same themes repeat until they're learned. Impatience, pride, the need to be right, the urge to control, Conflict exposes these tendencies quickly. That's why it feels sharp. It points directly at what needs work. The mistake is taking it personally, as if the moment is judging you. It's not. It's offering you another repetition. A firefighter trains under stress, so real emergencies don't overwhelm him. An athlete practices under fatigue, so competition doesn't break form. In the same way, daily conflicts condition your character. They show you where your discipline holds and where it still leaks. When you see conflict this way, something shifts. You stop asking, "Why is this happening again?" You start asking, "What is this trying to strengthen?" That question changes your posture. You stay calmer, more observant. You don't rush to fix the situation. You focus on executing your part cleanly. Speak without bitterness. Act without impulse. Decide without resentment. That's the work. Over time, the conflicts don't feel lighter. You feel heavier in the right way, more grounded, less thrown. You begin to trust yourself under pressure, not because you've mastered life, but because you've trained where it counts. Every conflict is a repetition. Every repetition shapes you. And whether you realize it or not, you're always in training. The only question is what kind of man each moment is preparing you to be. And as that understanding settles in, something steady replaces the tension. Not excitement, not relief, clarity. You begin to see the pattern that was there all along. The moments you thought weakened, you were never the source of your struggle. They were simply mirrors. Nothing in this life was quietly draining your strength behind your back. No hidden force, no unseen hand. What slipped away did so openly. Every time you rushed to defend yourself, every time you reacted instead of choosing, every time you let a bad moment decide the tone of your day, that's not an accusation. It's an invitation, because what can be given away can be reclaimed. Stoicism doesn't promise a life without pressure. It offers something more durable, a way to stand so pressure doesn't decide who you become. You don't need a new personality. You don't need more confidence. You don't need better circumstances. You need consistency in the small places where power actually lives. In the pause before words leave your mouth. In the decision to carry responsibility without resentment. In the willingness to treat each conflict as practice instead of proof that life is unfair. That's where authority is rebuilt, quietly, without announcement. Marcus Aurelius never wrote to impress anyone. He wrote to remind himself not to forget what mattered when the world pulled at him from every direction. The reminders were simple. Focus on your actions. Keep your judgments clean. Meet what arrives without losing yourself. That's the work, not winning arguments, not controlling outcomes, not demanding that life cooperate before you show up fully. Showing up fully first. This path doesn't make you untouchable. It makes you reliable. Reliable under pressure. Reliable in conflict. Reliable when things don't go your way. And that kind of reliability changes everything. Your relationships feel steadier. Your decisions feel less frantic. Your sense of self stops swinging with every win or loss. You start to trust yourself again. Not because you expect success, but because you know how you'll conduct yourself either way. That trust is strength. If there's one thing to carry forward from all of this, let it be this: you were never powerless. You were practicing without realizing it every time you chose reaction over response. Now you know where the choice lives. Tonight or tomorrow, when the next small test shows up, you don't need to be perfect. Just be present long enough to notice the moment before the moment. Take the pause. Choose the cleaner action. Leave the situation with your dignity intact. That's enough. If this way of thinking steadied something in you, let it settle. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to prove it. Just practice it. And if you want to keep walking this path, there's more to explore. The discipline that holds when no one is watching. The boundaries that protect what matters. The kind of courage that doesn't raise its voice. Until then, stand firm. Carry yourself well, and remember, your power was never gone.